Hi everyone, to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to make a delicious chicken stew that'll be ready and on the table in an hour. It's perfect for a busy weeknight and one that the kids will love too. So it's going to be my mom's chicken stew with French fries. It's simple, quick, delicious, and easy. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to begin with a 3.5-pound chicken that's been cut into pieces and the skin has been removed as well. I have my pot heating over medium-high heat with some olive oil in it, and I'll just brown the chicken in about 3 batches, 2 to 3 batches. If your pan has a lot of space, you might be able to do it in 2 batches. Otherwise, don't overcrowd it because instead of browning, the chicken will steam and you want to get some nice color on it. So about 4 minutes per side. Once the chicken releases easily from the pan, it's ready to flip over. I like to put a little screen on top of my pot so that way the oil splatter is minimized. Once the chicken is ready, just go ahead and transfer it to a plate. I like to turn the heat off because the pot is going to be piping hot at this time. And then I have an onion that I finely chopped over here. That's going to go in. After about a minute or so, I'll turn the heat back on so that way the onion cooks a little slower. It's going to get a lot of color on it now because, like I said, the pot is really hot. But as it cools down and then when you turn the heat back on, it'll return to a normal temperature. And you want the onion to cook for about 8 minutes or so, or until it starts to soften. Then I have 5 garlic cloves that have been grated. I'll add those in just until they're fragrant. And then the chicken is going to go back into the pot with a 15-ounce can of either crushed tomatoes or tomato sauce. This is just a plain sauce that I'm using. It has very simple ingredients, just a little bit of salt, a tiny pinch of sugar, and a few basic spices. There's not too much flavor in this, but if you're using crushed tomatoes or canned tomatoes that have been pureed, you might want to add a little pinch of sugar to this to offset that acidity. If you have fresh tomatoes, you can grate them in here. About 2 cups of them is what you're looking for. I also forgot to mention that I did season the chicken with salt and pepper at the very beginning before I browned it, but I'll add some more salt and black pepper right now. Half a teaspoon of cumin powder, a bay leaf, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, a little pinch of crushed red pepper flakes. If you like them for some heat, you can add them at this point. And then I also like to rinse the can out with some water. I add about a cup and a half of water so that way the chicken cooks in it and we don't waste any of that tomato sauce. I'm going to give everything a mix, bring this mixture to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'll reduce the heat to a medium, put the lid on the pot, and the chicken will cook for about 45 minutes. The sauce is going to thicken. The chicken is going to be fully cooked, and then all I do is garnish it with some finely chopped parsley and it's ready to serve. But of course, before you serve it, taste it, and if it needs more seasoning or you need to adjust some flavors, you can fix that at this point. And then the last thing that we do is make some French fries to serve alongside this. So I'm going to fry them. I have some potatoes here that I've peeled and I'll just cut them into wedges. You can cut these as big or as thin as you like. This is the size that we like in our home, so that's just the size that I'm cutting them. I'm going to soak them in some cool water for a little bit while the oil is heating over medium-high heat. Once the oil's temperature reaches about 350, 375 degrees Fahrenheit, it's ready for the potatoes. You want to make sure you pat them dry so that way you don't get burned once they go in the oil. Again, we're going to fry the potatoes in a few batches. About 6 to 8 minutes is how long it takes for them to usually fry. And then carefully lift them out of the oil and drain off that excess oil. And then I like to transfer them to a plate that's lined with paper towels. And then we season them with some salt and pepper, toss them around, and now the meal is ready to serve. Okay, so just like that, the stew is ready. It smells delicious. You could serve it as is, or if you want to boil up some pasta and serve the stew over the pasta, that's also delicious. Or you can serve it over rice. Toast some bread and then just make a green salad and it's ready to serve. My mom always makes this with a fresh chicken, usually a rooster. My dad sometimes goes and gets chickens that are processed fresh and the meat is a little bit hardier and like tougher, so it takes a little bit longer to cook, but I just use a regular store-bought chicken. I use the whole chicken, but you can use chicken legs for this or chicken thighs. I do prefer to use chicken with the bone in for this recipe just because it does cook in that stew and it needs some time for the sauce to thicken and all of that. If you use chicken breast for this, it won't work because the sauce won't be at the right consistency, and if you do cook it too long, it'll be dry. So those are some of the tips that I recommend, but it's simple and quick and delicious as you saw. Let's do the taste test. So good. If you don't want to fry the French fries, you can totally prepare them in the air fryer or in the oven. I'll put the method on the blog post just so that way you can have that option if you want to take it. French fries are very commonly made in Greece. They're usually at every dinner table. Every time there's a party, there's a big batch of fries on the table for the kids and for the adults. It just tastes good to dip them in the sauce. It tastes delicious, and it just makes everything taste a little bit homier and cozier. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. If you want to print out the recipe, it's on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.